This is ModelOmega, and welcome to Chapter 2X of my Thracia 776 play. In case you're wondering, the X means that this is a guide-in chapter, or extra. To access this guide-in, you must have visited all of the villages in the previous chapter. Leafus, you'd better not touch that cleric, understood? Yeah, I know. Come on, Saifi, I'll give you whatever you want, so would you please do as I say? I'm sorry, but Lady Nilinoan has given me an important mission. Or will you fight with us for the people of Tara, Leafus? Against the Empire? No way, I'm better off committing suicide. I know this is asking a lot, but handing out innocent children as sacrifices simply cannot be forgiven. We'll probably all be killed, but we have still chosen to resist. The citizens of Tara are not just fighting for themselves. Our world will eventually be blanketed in darkness. If we don't stand up now, the world will fall to the dark god Loki. Please, Leafus, we need your help. I want you to fight for Tara, and for the future of our world. If I say okay, then would you do me a favor? Yes, anything that I can do. Okay, I'll convince the boys and go to Tara, but you'd better keep your promise. It's getting dark. I can't see a thing. If we had some torches, we would be able to see a little further. It'll be a tough fight without them. Yes, especially since we do not know these islands very well. But I'm sure there are torches somewhere. Do not worry. Okay, let's go. We can't be wasting time here. Oh boy, this chapter. This isn't a hard chapter per se, but for me, it is extremely annoying. First off, this is a Fog of War chapter, the very first one in any Fire Emblem game. Yes, Thracia 776 introduced Fog of War to the series. The mechanics for Fog of War work much differently in this game than in future titles. Starting from Sealed Sword onwards, in a Fog of War chapter, when a unit moves along the darkness, it illuminates all of the pathway that movement travels. But in Thracia, only the beginning and the end areas of where a unit is revealed. This is kind of hard to notice on this chapter because it's relatively small, but in future Fog of War chapters, if you have, say, a flying unit move in a large distance, and they're far away from everyone else, it's kind of jarring to basically just see illuminated areas all around them, and then have them be completely surrounded in darkness. Doesn't really make a lot of sense. Anyway, annoying thing number 2 about this chapter, there's a lot of sand near the beginning which really slows your units down. I had to re-record this chapter 4 times because some stupid stuff kept happening, and the opening part of this chapter takes forever because you have to move your units 2 or 3 spaces at a time. And third annoying thing, if you want a torch to help out here, August did say that there were some here. He said, there are torches, we should find them. Well, actually he's wrong. There aren't torches. There is torch, as in 1, and it's held by an enemy warrior, which you must capture if you want it. Ugh. Like in the previous chapter, the enemies here aren't overall that strong, except for the 2 warriors that you'll face, and one of the enemy bosses if you decide to fight him, which I stupidly tried to do 2 times in a row, which is why I had to reset this twice. The 3rd time was unrelated. The 3rd time I had to reset was because one of the enemy warriors crit Leaf and killed him instantly. And I was really pissed about that, because in that recording, when I leveled up Havan, he gained a point of movement from his movement growth, which is 2% by the way, and I was all excited. I'm like, oh great, Havan is going to be one of my great guys this run, I know it. And then that warrior crit Leaf, and I can't use that run anymore because it's game over. I was so pissed I had to put the game down for a few hours and go have a coffee or something. I was still pretty miffed about it when I went back to resume recording, and it shows. I played this chapter pretty sloppily. I just wanted to get past it, put it all behind me, but it just kept coming up to the front of my mind. Oh well, life goes on, but I believe we'll all carry the pain inside. If you played Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon, the remake of Fire Emblem Dark Dragon and the Sword of Light for the Nintendo DS, you might find the Fog of War themes for this game quite familiar. And that's because they remixed the player phase and battle phase for the Fog of War in this game for the online battle mode of Shadow Dragon. Pretty neat, huh? I also remembered there's one other really annoying thing about this chapter. There's another route to the south near where those two pirates are that I'm having Othin attack, and that path doesn't go anywhere. It goes to a dead end. To get to where the throne is and where the boss is, you need to go along the north side by the shore where all the sand is. So, if you're playing this game for the first time and you want to see if there's a faster way and you end up going down there, it's going to take you even more time. It just forces all of your units into such a thin bottleneck. It's the same problem that Chapter 5 in Genealogy of the Holy War had, when you had to cross the desert and cram all your units in almost single file, unless you wanted to take an extremely long detour through an even bigger part of the desert. It's just stuff like this doesn't need to be in Fire Emblem. You don't need to have this sand here to slow your units down. It's just padding. And I don't want to say that about desert maps in general. Desert maps can be really well done. I mean, I've never really liked any of them, but when the whole map is a desert, at least you know what you're getting into. Sticking pieces of desert or sand into the middle of an otherwise normal chapter is stuff I'm just not okay with. I mean, look at this. I've have all my units crammed up into this tiny space because none of them can move more than 2 or 3 spaces at a time. It's just stupid. And that space where Tanya is, that's the only space you can cross there. You literally get forced into going single file at a point in this. That's just stupid! Thankfully, there's no actual desert chapter in this game, although a later chapter in the game does have a similar motive, in which all of your units are slowed down a lot. But thankfully, that chapter is part of 2 routes, so you don't have to go to it if you don't want to. And I don't like going through it. I'll probably leave it up to chance, and I'll like to do a recording of both, but I really don't want to go through that. So yeah, this is that warrior I was talking about earlier that holds the single torch in this whole chapter. He has a steel axe and a steel bow, and pretty good defense and HP. Capturing this guy can be a pain, especially since you're in that part of the chapter where you're all slowed down, so if your capturing guy is far away, they won't be able to get to him, and this guy can kill any of your units in 2 hits, except for Avel because she's technically invincible, but yeah, this is just silly. I'd also like to point out that if it wasn't for the life ring I had given Leaf earlier in this game, there were several opportunities where he almost could have been one-shotted by some people, and he would basically be 2-hit killed by almost every single unit in this entire chapter. So yeah, here's a tip. If you're gonna play this game, you give Leaf at least that life ring. You maybe don't have to give him the speed one, I would, but yeah, Leaf is terrible. He needs a lot of help. From this chapter and from the next chapter recording I'm doing, it seems that Othin has been doing a lot better than Havan in stats and whatnot. So, unless Havan gets some good level ups later, I'm probably going to end up dropping him from my team and using just Othin. I kind of don't like to, and I've never had to do it until now, because Othin and Havan are both really great units. But it looks like the stars aren't aligning that well for Havan. It's a real shame. Also, that pirate there with the steel axe could have killed Leaf there with his low HP. Thankfully this was early in the chapter, but I really would have hated to restart this again. Tanya has also been trying really hard to prove herself as someone that I could actually use. I mean, I'm still not going to, but she has actually gotten 2 pretty good level ups lately, and, well, sorry girl, I mean, if I really want to use an archer, there's really only 2 possibilities, and you're not one of them. One interesting tidbit that I could add to the argument over whether Finn is actually Nana's father that kind of puts it against the nay side in the context of this game. Finn starts this game with his Brave Lance, which he got from Suan in the first generation of Genealogy of the Holy War. If you paired Finn in Fire Emblem 4, he would start the second generation, which is when this game takes place, with only an Iron Lance because all of his regular equipment would have been passed down to his son. While maybe that doesn't count because the argument is that Beowulf fathered Delmud while Finn fathered Nana, I should also point out that Nana doesn't have the skill Prayer, which she would have if Finn was her father because he would have passed down the skill with the mechanics of Genealogy of the Holy War. But, on the other hand, when you get Delmud in this game, he has the Beo sword, which is only usable by Beowulf and his descendants, which includes Delmud and Fergus, who in the game's ending is revealed to be the bastard child of Beowulf. But Nana can't use the Beo sword, so if you take just the context of the mechanics of this game, and in Genealogy of the Holy War, then neither Beowulf or Finn is Nana's actual father. So, who the hell is it? Was Lachesis having two affairs at the same time? I mean, that kind of fits with the fan perception of her character, but that's messed up. Oh, my brain hurts. I'm talking about all this random stuff, by the way, because it's probably more interesting than watching me play through the slog of a chapter. It always bothers me in Fog of War chapters in Fire Emblem games that the enemy can walk through the darkness, find you, and attack you with the same unit, but you can't do that in return. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that was something that Advanced Wars, the other turn-based strategy game made by Intelligent Systems, actually allowed you to do. I don't know, that seems like more plausible. I've never played Advanced Wars though. Is it any good? It's not on the Wii U Virtual Console now, and I've thought about picking it up. If anyone's played it and can let me know in the comments, tell me if I should get that game. I'm interested in trying it. Oh, this part of the chapter likes to hit you with a sneaky surprise. You've been fighting pirates and hunters up until this point, but if you try and charge through the northern part here, now that you're finally free of the sand, you're going to be ambushed by 3 mercenaries, which are units you haven't encountered up until now, using swords, a weapon type you haven't encountered up until now, aside from that one boss from the first chapter. And now I finally break out the Pooji. This axe really is awesome. I mean, it's a killer axe you just throw at people. And it's a bit weaker than a killer axe, but that doesn't matter because you throw it at people. And it's an awesome boomerang. Actually, all the hand axes are awesome boomerangs. The mechanics of Fire Emblem just doesn't make sense. I totally didn't take Abel's advice 3 times in this. You may miss this, but Abel is actually telling you how to recruit Leafus. If you kill him or capture him and let him go, he's gone. In order to actually get Leafus as a unit, you need to capture him and hold on to him and then end the chapter. It's kind of a sneaky way of telling you how to do it. It's something this game tries to do and succeeds in a couple occasions, but also spectacularly fails in one point, which I will mention. This part is about to come to a close, so I will be signing out now right after I use this torch. Let there be light! This has been ModelOmega, and I will see you back in part 2 of Chapter 2X.